Hi everybody! Today we are going to be talking about long division. So, the first thing that you need to know about long division is some terminology. So say I gave you this equation. 20 divided by 4 equals 5. Each of these numbers has a specific name to it. So, our 20 is called the dividend. Our 4 is called the divisor. And our 5 is called a quotient. Okay, so our quotient is just a fancy word for our answer. So just like in addition, your answer is called the sum. In subtraction, it's called the difference. In division, your answer is called the quotient. Your divisor is the number that you're dividing another number by, and your 20 is the number that you want to divide. But there's actually one more term. Say I gave you the equation 22 divided by 4 equals 5. Well, we know that's not right because 20 divided by 4 equals 5. But 22 can't be divided by 4. We would have two numbers left over. So we would say that this equation has a remainder of 2. Let me show you what this means. Okay, let me draw out the equation 22 divided by 4. Okay, so I'm going to start off by drawing 22 dots. Alright, so I have my 22 dots. Let me try to group these into 4. So I'm going to make a circle around 4 dots because I'm dividing 22 by 4. So here's one group of 4. Here's another group of 4. And another group of 4. And another group of 4. And another group of 4. But I have 2 dots left over that don't fit into this group of 4. That is our remainder. We have 2 remaining. They cannot fit into our groups of 4. So that's what our remainder is. The other steps that I want to go over is our 4 basic steps of division. So our first step of division is to divide. And then we have to multiply. After we have multiplied, we have to subtract. And then we have to drop it down. I'm going to show you what this all means in a minute. An easy way that you can remember all the steps is with a mnemonic. So using the letter D, M, S, and D, you can help remember this by remembering don't make students divide. Pardon my spelling mistake there. So you can remember divide, multiply, subtract, and drop it down by remembering don't make students divide, which is quite ironic. You could also remember it by remembering dogs, microwave, spaghetti, daily. So these are 2 mnemonics that you can use to remember the steps divide, multiply, subtract, and drop it down. Alright, so let's try this example. here I have 228 divided by 3. So if I were to write this out just in standard form, this would look like 288 divided by 3 equals, and we don't know what it equals. All right, so let me show you the steps to complete this. Our first step is to divide. So what I'm dividing by is this number here, and I'm gonna look at our neighbor. So can 3 fit into 2? No, 3 cannot fit into 2. So instead of just looking at the 2, we have to look at the 2 and the 8. So we're gonna look at this as how many times can 3 fit into 28? So if I were to write out the 3 times tables, until I hit a number that is underneath of 28 but doesn't go over it, it would look like this. So 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, and then 27. If I were to keep going, I would hit 30, but 30 is bigger than 28, so I know that we're not going to hit 30. So now I have to count how many numbers I have here. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So now this 9, I'm going to put at the top right here, right over that 2. Next step is to multiply. So the numbers that I'm multiplying are my 3. Oopsies. So I'm going to be multiplying my 3. Where did my highlighter go? Here we go. My 3 and my 9. So 3 times 9 is 27. So I'm going to write 27 underneath of that 28. 27. Now our next step is to subtract. And I'm going to look at our 28 and our 27. So let me subtract that. 28 minus 27 equals 1. And then our last step is to drop it down. What I mean by drop it down is we gotta bring this 8 downwards. See how we haven't used our last 8 yet? I'm gonna follow this arrow and drop it down and put it right beside our 1. So it gets 18. Then we have to follow all of these steps again. So I'm gonna erase my highlighter. And we are going to repeat these steps. So how many times can 3 fit into 18? Now we're done with this 218 pretty much. All we're worried about is our 3 and our 18. So 3 can fit into 18 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. So I'm going to draw 6 right beside our 9. Then we have to multiply. And I'm going to multiply our 3 and our 6. So 3 times 6 is 18. And I'm going to write that underneath of our 18. Then we're going to subtract. So 18 minus 18 is 0. And we don't actually have to drop it down because we ran out of numbers. There is nothing to drop it down. So we are done. What this means, this 0 means, is that we have no remainder. So our answer is 96 with a remainder of 0. So I can write that down here, remainder 0. That R just means remainder. Let's try another example. Here I have 521 divided by 22. So what's our first step? Our first step is to divide. So I'm going to take my 22. Can 22 fit into 5? No. 22 is much bigger than 5. It cannot fit into 5. So I have to move on to the next number, which is 52. So I have to see how many times can 22 fit into 52. So if I'm skip counting by 22, we're going to get 22, 44, and then we would get 66, which is higher than 52. So I know that 22 can only fit into 52 2 times. So I'm going to draw my 2 right up here. All right, our next step is to multiply. And so I'm going to multiply 22 by 2. And I'm going to write that underneath of our 52, which is 44. Now I have to subtract. So I am going to subtract 52 by 44. I know that 2 and 4, I can't subtract 2 from 4, so I know I have to borrow from this 5, make that 12, which is 8. And 4 minus 4 is 0. So I know that I have 8 left over. Then I have to drop it down. So I have not used this 1 yet. So I know that I have to drop it down and bring it right here. So now we have 81. Now I have to see how many times I'm going to erase my highlighter actually. All right, so now we have to divide. So I'm going to divide 22 and 81. So how many times can 22 fit into 81 without going over it? So we'll have 22, then 44, then 66, and then we would have 88, but that's over 81. So I know that it can fit into 81 1, 2, 3 times. Okay, so I'm going to write that 3 right here beside my 2. And then our next step is going to be to multiply. So 22 times 3, which is 66. So let me write that underneath of my 81. And then 81 minus 66. Oops. I know that I have that 1 is bigger, or 1 is smaller than 6, so I know I have to borrow from 8. Turn that into a 7. 11 minus 6 is 5. And then 7 minus 6 is 1, so 15. Then I have to, I just realized that I didn't highlight it for you guys, so let me do that now. Subtraction, right here. And then our next step would be to drop it down, but obviously we have no more numbers left. So I know that our answer is 23 with a remainder of 15. So this 23 I got from up here, and a remainder I got from down here. Let's try this last equation, this word problem. So it says, Luke is organizing snacks for his class party. He bought 330 granola bars and wants to divide them equally between 27 classmates. How many granola bars will each student receive, and how many will be left over, if any? So the first thing I'm going to do is pick out all of my numbers. I see that he bought 330 granola bars and wants to divide them equally between 27 classmates. So I know that this equation is going to look like this. It's going to look like 330 divided by 27 equals, and we don't know what that equals. Written in the form that we're working with, it is going to look like 27 here, our division symbol, and then 330. All right, so let's go through each of our steps to figure it out. First thing we want to do is divide. So I'm going to look at this 27 and this 3. I know that 27 is bigger than 3, so I know that I have to move on to the next number, which is 33. Okay? So if I were to skip count by 27s, it would look like this. 27, and then it would be 54. I know that 54 is bigger than 33, so 27 can only fit into 33 one time. So 33 divided by 27 is just 1. Our next step is to multiply. So I'm going to do 27 times 1, which is just 27. And then I am going to subtract. Let me withdraw my 2 there. All right, and then I'm going to subtract. So I'm going to subtract 30 and 27, which would get me, 6. All right. So now we have to drop it down. So I'm going to drop down my 0 because that is the one that we haven't worked with yet to give me 60. So I'm going to bring that 0 down all the way here. All right, now we have to repeat our steps. So divide. How many times can 27 fit into 60? Well, it can only fit into 60 2 times. So I'm going to draw that 2 up here, right beside my 1. Okay. Next step would be to multiply. So let's do that. I'm going to multiply 27 by 2, which is 54. I'm going to write that right underneath of my 60. And then we have to subtract. So I know that I am going to subtract 60 and 54. So let's do that, which will bring me 6. And then we would drop it down, but obviously we have no more numbers left to drop down, so we're done. So this is like saying our answer is 12 with a remainder of 6. And whenever we have a word problem, we always have to write a therefore statement. So let's do that. Remember that this little triangle shape with the dots just is it's a short form version of therefore, so you don't have to write it out. And I'm gonna just make a note there for you guys in case you haven't learned that yet. So I'm gonna write, so the question asks, how many granola bars will each student receive? Well, I can write each student will receive 12 granola bars and 6 will be left over. Or there will be 6 remaining. So that is how you do this word problem. And that is it for today's video on the long division. I hope that this was very helpful and you now have a better understanding. I hope that you all have an amazing day, and if you would consider liking and subscribing to help grow my channel, that would be greatly appreciative. Have an amazing day, everybody.